Okay, so I just spent 3 days going over Redbull's entire YouTube channel, and I realized something crazy. They're not even trying to sell you energy drinks. Like seriously, they have 26 million subscribers, pull billions of views, and they basically never talk about their actual product. Meanwhile, every other brand is struggling to get views on YouTube and is desperately asking you to buy their stuff. I mean, just look at their videos. Extreme sports, world records, high production budgets. It's like they forgot they're a drink company. But somehow, that weird strategy is absolutely destroying everyone else. Just look at Red Bull compared to Monster Energy. So I mapped out exactly what they're doing differently, and honestly, it's so simple, I can't believe other brands aren't copying them. And honestly, it's so simple, I can't believe other brands aren't copying it. So today, we're gonna cover the 3 things they do that has completely changed their content game. And if you're a brand trying to crush content on YouTube, stick till the end because this video will completely change the way you look at YouTube. Now, before we dive into that, who am I? Well, me and my friends launched a consulting agency and we've worked with some of YouTube's biggest creators. And through that, we've helped these creators get over 1.3 billion views. And the first step of helping brands get billions of views is figuring out the brand positioning. So the way most people start creating content on YouTube is they see a YouTube channel that they really admire and they start making content similar to that channel. And that's not a bad strategy, but it isn't the best strategy. Because a lot of the times viewers aren't going to watch you because they'd rather watch the other person who makes better content. And this is the same thing that a lot of brands fall into. They don't have a specific moat that makes them different and they don't target the viewer demand. So if you look at Red Bull, you can kind of see that they've figured out what makes them different. They focus on stuff like extreme sports, the access or connections they have to some of the world's biggest athletes, their F1 team, their extreme budget. They have billions of dollars they can spend on content, or just trying to break some of the craziest records of all time. And this is exactly how they're able to create content that is so different and does so well on the platform. They have a moat, stuff that nobody else can copy, these extreme sports, the connections, the F1 team, and they use that to also target demand, which is what viewers want. And this is exactly how you want to position your content. You want to find what does my brand or what does my content do that no one else can do? What is the moat? And where is the demand for views? What type of content do people want to watch? If you can mix those two together and kind of make your videos the sweet spot, this is how you crush on YouTube from a positioning perspective. Now, the next aspect that makes Red Bull crush on YouTube is their content buckets. If you look at their videos from 4 years ago versus now, it's insane what they've figured out and how they've changed. You can see that before they were kind of struggling to pull 1 million views. Most of their videos did under 1 million views, but they had a lot of potential. I mean, look at this video. They got 5 million views about a plane flying through a tunnel. Red Bull obviously had insane potential. And if you look at their channel now, most of their videos average millions of views. And they were able to do this because they figured out what works and what doesn't. Now, I made a quick spreadsheet and kind of plotted in the different topics that Red Bull used to talk about. And you can notice the patterns of what works really, really well and what doesn't work well at all. If you look at this, you can see that plane videos on Red Bull's channel average 2.8 million views, while stuff like parkour or drone shot videos didn't average many views at all. And using data like this, you can figure out what topics should I be making videos about and what topics should I never cover on my channel again. Because the reality on YouTube is it's a win-based platform. So the more you win, the better you do. And if you can cut out your losses, your shitty videos, and get rid of all like the 10 out of 10s and the bad videos, you can grow exponentially quickly. And so this is a great way of doing that, spotting what topics don't work well, and then you just cut them out and you never do those topics again. And also seeing what topics do really well and doubling down on those. And so that's an easy way to just get more views. You just look at what works well on your channel. So here I screenshotted a couple of Red Bull's videos, but in your own brands and your own channels, you can do the same thing. Just look at what are your most viewed videos across a long period of time and try and spot patterns of what type of content those videos are. So for example, this video did extremely well, almost 8 million views 4 years ago. It's about putting F1 drivers in weird scenarios. So that's, something bucket of content you can play into in the future. Other videos that do really well for Red Bull are extreme stunts or putting a sport in a weird environment. So for example, kayaking down a mountain of snow, right? That's a really weird environment. Another one is just targeting world records, trying to break insane world records. And so once you know what content does really well, what content you should not be doing, and then also what are the types of content patterns that work well on your channel, this is where you can double down. So here's an example. They have this series about like a soapbox race. And you can see that even though I have no clue what soapbox cars are, you can see that this content is done extremely well multiple times. So this is a proven topic we can play into. So if we just take this topic and we optimize it, we improve the intro, we improve the pacing, the segments, the packaging, the title, what happens is you can end up with a video like this where where you've taken this outlier topic and you've made it so much better, it just absolutely kills. Most people don't realize that for a YouTube channel, you just need 3 or 4 different topics that do really well, and you can just milk those back to back for years. Because the reality is people don't want new stuff. They just want more of what they find interesting. Now, once you've figured out what is interesting, how do you improve on the content? Well, a lot of the times it's just small little tweaks. So for example, you can have stuff like making your video longer. If you know that 8 million people really enjoyed this video, if you just take that video and make a longer version of it, you're going to allow people to just watch more of the content they really enjoy. And then on top of that, obviously longer videos are better for the algorithm. So there's an example of improving and creating a win-win scenario where you can improve. Other stuff is like optimizing the thumbnail, making it really simple, having a specific action, removing all the clutter, having a simple title that's straight to the point and is really concise, making the intro really interesting, foreshadowing, hooking them, getting into the content faster. These are all small things you can do to improve the content and make your double down a better video than it was before. So the final aspect of Red Bull strategy that's absolutely crushed is their packaging strategy. So if you just look at their thumbnails back then versus now, you can see it's completely changed. And a lot of it has to do with this simple filter that they use, which is that all of their thumbnails grab attention. They show a really interesting action, whether it's like someone looking down at a crazy drop or a pre-action of like these weird guys in banana suits about to go off a ramp. It's also extremely simple. They don't overdo it. There's not too much text. There's not too many elements. It's very simple and dumbed down. There's always action in the thumbnail too, whether it's like a pre-action of like what's going to happen, or it's a mid-action of like he's in the process of flying off a ramp. There's always an action that creates interest. And on top of that, these thumbnails create curiosity. It makes viewers ask the question, what's going to happen? What are these banana guys? What's going to happen to these guys? Are they going to make this jump or not? Or who's going to win in this race? Which of these cars is going to win? The thumbnail always creates a curiosity gap or makes viewers ask a question, which is why they click. So here you have like an old thumbnail, which is actually really good, but it's not fully optimized. The colors aren't the best. The landscape doesn't really contrast from the background. It's hard to see the plane. The wind streak is fine. It's a good thumbnail, but like even the tunnel isn't extremely impressive. So if you look at here, this is a thumbnail that even though it did worse, it's a way better thumbnail because we're showing an interesting landmark. It's extremely recognizable. The thumbnail is extremely simple. The good contrast between the sky and the landscape. And then also we have a really, really good contrast between the wingsuit or the plane and the red line, the red cloud streak, right? That shows where they've been going, the motion, right? And so there we have that action. It's really simple. It creates curiosity. And that's an example of making a really good thumbnail. Another example is this one where you just optimized it. You remove the clutter, you remove the text, you show a mid-action of like this cart in midair, like what's going to happen when it lands. Is it going to like break apart? And that's another great example of these small tweaks you can do to a thumbnail that makes it so much better. Now, the next part of packaging is titles and fixing really good titles. Now, Red Bull has got this figured out. If you look at before, they had a lot of mistakes they would do, but they completely figured out. For example, they would have very specific titles, like two brothers, two insane bike parks, and then they say the brother's name. So here it's like, what's happening? Like, what in this video is the offering? Like, it's just two brothers at like riding in 2 bike parks? Is that interesting? Also, it's like a lot of the times they would talk about specific things that aren't broad. So like free running the Kamaz Master HQ with Archie Aranyan, right? It's like, I didn't even say his name properly, but I don't even know what is that place and who is that person. If you're trying to target tens of millions of views on a per video, you can't have very niche people or locations in the title. Another thing is not focusing the content on the interest angle. So if you read this title, it's skiing without snow, speedrunning the Alps. And so what is the interesting angle there? It's obviously skiing without snow. So the title should focus on that aspect of like, skiing down a mountain, world record skiing down a mountain without snow, like world's first, something like that, right? Where it's very specific to that interesting action. And then you show that in the thumbnail. Now, here's an example of titles they've been doing recently that are really, really good. You can see that they're focusing on sensational wording. So words like attempting, exclusive, world's most extreme. These are sensational words that create a ton of interest. On top of that, they target really broad audiences. So they have the title, biggest skate ramp ever, world record. And just there, it's targeting a broad audience. Like, I'm not a skateboarder. I've never really been into skateboarding, but I could click this video because I'm interested in like, oh, what's going to happen? What is this world record? Is he going to land this jump? And because this title targets a broad audience, it can get millions of views compared to being too niche or only targeting skateboard fans. Now, the last one is unique interest angle. So a lot of titles, it's just very boring. It's like FP drone shot of like free running circuit or parkour, whatever. It's like, there's no specific interest angle. So here you can see that they have I ski down Mount Everest, world's first, no oxygen. So you can see in this title, they're showing a really interesting scenario, like skiing down Mount Everest, the world's biggest mountain, extremely crazy. On top of that, they're doing world's first. This is like, this content has never been done before. You can only see it in this video. And then also no oxygen. So they're increasing the stakes of like, I could have died. And so all these different aspects of the title make the title way more interesting and make you way more likely to click. And so the base rules for a good title is that it generates interest, it targets a broad audience, and it's extremely concise and easy to understand quickly. We're gonna go through an example here of a before and after of titles, so you can really kind of cement how to write a good title. You can see right here, we have Red Bull Racing Honda versus Scuderia AlphaTauri, epic off-road race across Austria. And so this got really good views, but obviously that title is a wordful, and it's not obvious what the sort of appeal or interest angle of that video is. And it's not very concise, and it doesn't create a ton of interest. And if you can see right here, they have F1 drivers versus wild Japanese game shows. It's a lot more concise, it's shorter, it's very obvious what's gonna happen. You're gonna have F1 drivers, and they're gonna be competing in game shows. And so just dumbing down the concept of like, what is the most interesting aspect, and focusing the title around that makes your videos so much easier to click on. So for here, obviously the interest angle is the off-road race with the F1 drivers. So you would do something like F1 drivers compete in an off-road race across Europe or something like that, right? Where it's very specifically targeting that interest point. And that's the three main pillars of Red Bull's strategy that has been absolutely crushing for them. If you're a brand that wants to get into YouTube or is already on YouTube but is struggling to pull views, me and my team specialize in this stuff. We've helped some of the world's biggest brands explode on YouTube and get hundreds of millions of views. So if you're looking for something like this, hit us up. If you already have a team in place, just take this video and send it to them and watch your videos get so many more views. I hope this was helpful. Peace.